Today is July 10th, 2025. We look back at a conflict that has shaped generations, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is not a simple story of good versus evil, but a clash of two powerful national narratives. Israelis see this land as the fulfillment of a 2,000-year-old dream for safety and self-determination. Palestinians see it as their ancestral home, lost through dispossession and ongoing struggle. These narratives rarely intersect, each fueled by deep historical grievances and hopes. At its core, this is a human story. Families striving for normalcy amid extraordinary circumstances. Our goal is not to assign blame, but to understand why this conflict endures with such intensity. Only by respecting both perspectives can we begin to grasp the immense challenge and hope for peace. The roots of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a deeply entrenched and complex struggle, stretch back to the late 19th century, a period of significant global change and shifting geopolitical landscapes. This era witnessed the rise of nationalism across Europe and the stirrings of similar movements in the Middle East, setting the stage for future conflicts. The Zionist movement, gaining momentum during this time, sought a Jewish homeland in Palestine, fueled by a desire for self-determination and a safe haven from persecution. Palestine, then under Ottoman rule, became the focal point, seen as a historical and spiritual homeland to escape centuries of anti-Semitism that plagued Jewish communities across Europe and Russia, manifesting in pogroms and systemic discrimination. Meanwhile, Palestinian Arab identity was also emerging, deeply rooted in the land and its history, with its own aspirations for independence and self-governance, a desire to shape their own destiny free from foreign control. This burgeoning sense of national identity clashed with the Zionist aspirations. After World War I, with the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Britain took control of Palestine under a mandate from the League of Nations and issued the Balfour Declaration in 1917, a pivotal moment that sowed the seeds of future conflict. This declaration supported the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, while also promising to protect the rights of existing non-Jewish communities, a dual promise that proved difficult to reconcile. As Jewish immigration increased, particularly in the 1930s due to rising persecution in Europe, tensions rose dramatically, leading to escalating violence and widespread unrest between the Arab and Jewish populations. By 1947, facing increasing pressure and unable to manage the escalating conflict, the UN proposed partitioning the land into separate Jewish and Arab states, a plan accepted by Jewish leaders but vehemently rejected by Arab leaders, who viewed it as an unjust division of their land. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War erupted following Israel's declaration of independence, fundamentally reshaping the political map of the region and leading to long-lasting consequences. As a result of the war, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced, becoming refugees in neighboring countries and within the newly formed State of Israel, and the core issues that continue to fuel today's conflict, including the refugee crisis and territorial disputes, were firmly set in motion. The seeds of division, sown over decades of competing claims and unfulfilled promises, were now deeply rooted in the landscape, and the ongoing struggle for land, national identity, and self-determination had begun, a conflict that continues to resonate across the region and the world. For Jews, the connection to Israel is ancient and spiritual, rooted in scripture and centuries of longing. Zionism transformed this longing into a political movement, culminating in the creation of Israel after the Holocaust. For many, Israel is not colonialism but survival, a safe haven after centuries of persecution. The Hebrew language, revived from antiquity, and national holidays reflect this deep bond. Security is paramount, surrounded by hostile neighbors and shaped by memories of war. Israelis see control over strategic areas as essential. The Israeli perspective is shaped by a history of vulnerability and a fierce determination to survive. This lens defines their approach to the conflict and the land. For Palestinians, the land is home tied to family, livelihood, and centuries of continuous presence. The Nakba of 1948, when hundreds of thousands were displaced, is a defining trauma, Refugee camps, the key as a symbol of return, and cultural traditions all reflect this loss. Daily life under occupation checkpoints, permits, and land confiscations fuels the struggle for dignity and self-determination. Palestinians see the conflict as a fight for rights and freedom, not ancient texts. Their aspiration an independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital. For them, reclaiming dignity and a future for their children is the heart of the struggle. To truly understand the complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we need to move beyond headlines and political rhetoric. It's essential to delve into the everyday lives of those directly affected, to hear their stories, and to witness their struggles and hopes firsthand. Listen closely to the voices of those living it, for they hold the key to unlocking a deeper understanding. Their experiences paint a vivid picture of the human dimension of this ongoing struggle. Meet Yael, an Israeli mother living near the Gaza border. Her life is a testament to resilience in the face of constant threat. She lives with the ever-present reality of rocket alerts, a sound that dictates the rhythm of her days. Yael constantly fears for her children's safety, a burden no parent should have to bear. The bomb shelters have become a second home, a stark reminder of the precariousness of life in this region. Now let's turn our attention to Ahmed, a young Palestinian man living in Gaza. He faces the harsh realities of the blockade, crippling unemployment, and the deep-seated trauma resulting from repeated wars and conflict. The scars of the past are etched into the landscape and the hearts of its people. Consider the life of Fatima, an elderly Palestinian woman residing in the West Bank. She must navigate through checkpoints, often facing delays and humiliation, simply to reach her family's cherished olive grove. This grove is more than just a source of livelihood. It's a powerful symbol of Palestinian heritage, resilience, and resistance against displacement. Then there's David, an Israeli settler living in the West Bank. He views his home in the West Bank as a rightful return to his people's biblical roots, firmly believing it is not an act of occupation, but a reclamation of ancestral land. Each of these individual stories is profoundly shaped by the weight of history, the ever-present spectre of fear, and the enduring flicker of hope for a better future. These are not merely abstract political issues debated in distant halls. They are the concrete, lived daily realities for millions of people. While the conflict is often portrayed as intractable, both sides yearn for peace, but they envision peace on terms that acknowledge and honor their distinct narratives, address their legitimate security concerns, and safeguard their cultural identity. The human cost of this conflict is immense and heartbreaking, a constant reminder of the urgent need for resolution. And beneath the layers of political complexity, the universal longing for normalcy, for a life free from fear and violence, unites all who call this land home. By amplifying these voices, we reveal the true, intricate, and often painful fabric of this enduring conflict. Jerusalem, a city steeped in history, a place of profound spiritual significance. It stands as a beacon, drawing the faithful from across the globe. Sacred to Jews, Muslims, and Christians alike, a unique convergence of faiths. Each religion cherishes Jerusalem, weaving its own narrative into the city's ancient stones. But this shared reverence also makes it a flashpoint, a place where tensions simmer and sometimes boil over. Jerusalem lies at the very heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. For Jews, Jerusalem is more than just a city. It is the eternal capital, the spiritual center of their world. It is the site of the ancient temples, the holiest place in Judaism, and the Western Wall, a remnant of that glorious past. For Palestinians, and indeed for the entire Muslim world, Jerusalem is Al-Quds, the holy. It is home to Al-Aqsa Mosque, one of Islam's most revered sanctuaries, and the Dome of the Rock, an architectural masterpiece that dominates the city's skyline. Furthermore, it is envisioned by many as the future capital of a sovereign Palestinian state, a symbol of their national aspirations. Israeli control over East Jerusalem since the Six-Day War in 1967 remains a deeply contentious issue. This unification of the city is seen as a triumph and a source of national pride by Israelis. However, Palestinians view it as an ongoing occupation, a denial of their rights and their connection to the city. The city's holy sites, its diverse neighborhoods, and its very fabric are a complex microcosm of overlapping claims, competing narratives, and deeply held identities. And let's not forget the Christians, who also hold Jerusalem in the highest regard, adding another layer of complexity to this multifaceted city. Every seemingly minor change in the city, every perceived alteration to the status quo, has the potential to spark a major crisis, igniting tensions that resonate far beyond its walls. This volatile environment makes the status of Jerusalem the most sensitive and intractable issue in any peace negotiations. The international community largely maintains a consensus that Jerusalem's ultimate fate must be determined through peaceful negotiations and mutual agreement. Finding a just and lasting solution, one that honors the deep connections and legitimate claims of all parties, remains one of the greatest diplomatic challenges of our time. Three core issues block peace: borders, settlements, and refugees. Palestinians demand a state based on 1967 lines, including the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. Israel insists on secure, defensible borders and has built settlements in the West Bank, seen by most of the world as illegal. Palestinians view settlements as the main obstacle to a viable state. The refugee issue is deeply emotional. Millions of Palestinians demand the right to return to homes lost in 1948. Israel sees this as a demographic threat to its Jewish character. The gap between justice for refugees and Israel's security is vast. Each side's demands reflect existential fears and historical wounds. Bridging these divides is the crux of any future agreement. Why is peace so elusive? Deep mistrust runs on both sides. Israelis fear for their security after decades of violence. Palestinians see expanding settlements as proof that Israel isn't serious about peace. Failed negotiations and daily hardships fuel anger and despair. Leaders face internal opposition. Any compromise risks being seen as betrayal. International efforts are often inconsistent or biased, and regional powers have their own agendas. The cycle of violence creates new grievances, making talks harder. True peace requires a psychological shift, not just a signed agreement. Overcoming fear and suspicion is the hardest barrier of all. As of July 10, 2025, the future remains uncertain. The weight of history and failed peace plans is heavy, yet hope persists. In joint organizations, bereaved families seeking reconciliation, and young people building bridges. The challenge is to develop dual vision, to honor one's own narrative while recognizing the others. This means seeing the humanity and pain on both sides. The answer is unknown, but the pursuit of peace remains vital. The next generation must decide, can two peoples bound by tragedy and geography build a future of mutual respect? The stubborn refusal to give up on peace is the most hopeful act of all.